I live on the 14th floor, but there's a fresh, muddy handprint on the outside of my bedroom window. I froze. The fingers were impossibly long, stretching nearly a foot down the glass. Suddenly, the wet mud began to drip. Whatever left it there was just hanging outside my room seconds ago. I backed away slowly, fumbling in the dark for my phone, when a soft tap, tap, tap echoed through the dead silence. I stared at the dark reflection in the glass. The tapping wasn't coming from the outside. A towering silhouette was standing directly behind my couch. As I watched the reflection, the shadow slowly raised a dripping hand to its face and whispered, "Don't turn around." The whisper didn't come from the room, it came from the phone clamped in my sweating hand. I glanced down. My screen showed an active video call with an unknown contact, but the feed wasn't theirs. It was a live view of my living room, filmed from the very top corner of my ceiling. The towering shadow in the reflection wasn't looking at my back. It was staring dead into the hidden camera above. Suddenly, the creature raised a long, muddy finger, pointing directly toward my closed bedroom door. On the screen it mouthed, "He is awake." A heavy, wet thud echoed from inside my bedroom. Then the brass door handle slowly began to turn. The bedroom door swung open and my own battered double collapsed onto the hallway rug. I couldn't scream. He was wearing the exact same clothes I had on, gasping for air through cracked, bleeding lips. He reached out a trembling hand, pointing not at the shadow behind me, but directly at my phone. "Throw it away," he rasped, tears cutting through the grime on his face. "The video feed isn't real, it's controlling your body." I tried to drop the device, but my fingers refused to unclench. Suddenly, my arms raised the screen up to eye level against my will, and my thumb tapped "Accept live stream." The screen flashed blood red. Live stream audience is now directing host. My limbs jerked unnaturally. I watched in horror as my own body stepped over my bleeding double and marched directly toward the open window, 14 stories up. "Stop!" my double choked out, grabbing my ankle. "Look at the reflection." I looked at the dark glass. The shadow was gone. In its place were millions of glowing eyes staring back at me through their own phone screens. My hijacked hands threw open the window, cold air roaring in as my lips moved on their own. We vote jump. My feet leave the 14th floor ledge, plunging into the dark abyss, but gravity never takes me. I slam face first into the night sky, and the darkness violently shatters into millions of glowing, dead pixels. I am suspended in midair, pressed against a cold, invisible barrier. The city streets below glitch, freezing into a distorted, looping loading screen. Behind me, my battered double suddenly stops bleeding. He stands up perfectly straight, casually wiping the fake, digital blood from his chin. They always panic at the edge. He sighs, his voice warping into a heavy, robotic echo. "What did you do to me?" I scream, clawing desperately at the broken sky. "I didn't do anything," he replies, pulling a floating, translucent control panel out of thin air. "You really thought you were a real person? You're just the new interactive horror DLC." The terrifying truth hits me like a physical blow. The impossibly long, muddy handprint on my window from the first night. It wasn't a monster. It was a giant human thumb, smudging a dirty mobile screen. The eerie tapping I heard wasn't a ghost, it was the user texting. The shattered sky in front of me peels away, revealing a colossal, unfathomably massive human face staring down at me from the heavens. The godlike teenager smirks and a deafening voice booms through the apartment. This AI protagonist is okay, but his fear reactions are getting repetitive. My double waves up at the giant. Should I wipe his memory and reset the apartment for the next viewer? I hammer my fists against the glass, screaming for my life, but the giant face just yawns. A terrifying shadow eclipses the entire room as an impossibly huge finger descends from the sky, hovering directly over a flashing red prompt that reads, "Erase consciousness."